You will not meet nicer people. Whoop, I'm going to point.
I am thrilled to be here and excited to just geek out on Star Wars.
It's like, that speaks Darklighter's helmet. So how did you know? Because I'm a nerd.
Sears never left me again. We're such soulmates that her being older and me being older was exactly where we were meant to be.
He pointed to Tim and he went, "We cast you." And I told casting, I said, get Earl Brown to be Conti. Holy shit, I've recreated Deadwood in space.
I like to denote people as daddies from time to time.
Okay.
And I believe that you are a certified daddy. Like Pedro Pascal's a daddy. Like,
All right.
Yeah, certified daddy.
There's Mark Hamill, there's Harrison Ford, there's Carrie Fisher. And it's like, okay, we're doing Star Wars.
You have people like Favreau, Filoni, who are like, super fans, like everyone on the Zooms.
I love the Han Solo movie, and then of course I love The Mandalorian. The Mandalorian to me is made from people who love Star Wars.
I think I'm the only person who's ever written Star Wars for film, television, books, and comics.
And the Rancor bit hit, and I went running out of the theater, screaming my head off.
Coming back to a show that I dearly love and admire, so thanks for having me.
But I was doing my research, and Wedge was obviously a character that you had to use if you were going to do Rogue Squadron.
You don't do that. There is no try.
I've placed information vital to the survival of the rebellion into the memory systems of this R2 unit.
Those, but I got to do some sound-alike work for 3PO and Mandalorian. This is the way.
Because Darth Vader was the scariest thing that had ever happened to anybody, and this guy literally looks like the devil.
I need to see this right now.
I'll send you a picture.
Share it in the chat.
All right,
come on now. Thought we were doing a show here.
That was awesome. Oh my gosh, I have found my home. I have found my people.
The galaxy isn't growing to push people out. It's growing to let more people come in and find their love.
Steve is really the father of modern Star Wars collecting.
I remember taking both of those clips over to England to show them to George, as well as an early Grotto test. And it was there that we made a pitch that Jar Jar be fully digital.
And then you're just sitting with her as she's making dinner, outside of an abandoned AT-AT, at AT-AT, sorry.
I have had the best time ever on Around the Galaxy. Thank you so much.
You just put out a roll call of incredible people.
Yes, it's a good thing. It's a great thing.
Well, welcome to ATGLive, your Thursday night home for all things Star Wars. I'm one of your hosts, Pete Fletcher, and I'm joined by this guy, Mr. Nick Milkey over here. Nick, how are you doing, my friend? We have a great show tonight.
We have a fantastic show tonight, and it's been a great week. It's been a busy week. It is spring break here for 50% of the kids in my house, and the other half have spring break next week. So nobody really knows where they are, what they're supposed to be doing. Yeah. Some people are doing schoolwork. Some people are not. It's been one of those weeks, but it's going to be capped off with a great show tonight and an amazing guest and a fun time, as we like to have on pretty much every Thursday.
Yes, absolutely. And this Thursday night, we have a very special episode. We are joined by the amazing Vanessa Marshall. You know her as Space Mom. You know her as Hera Syndulla. She's going to be with us in just a little bit. We're going to be talking about her new podcast, and we're going to be sharing some Rebels memories. And hey, we're going to watch the chat. If you have a question for her, please throw it in there, and we'll do our best to get to it tonight. We did get a voicemail or two from our patrons as well. So, hey, we're going to have a good time talking. If you are checking us out for the first time, thank you so much for joining us. Make sure to like, subscribe, share, all those things you're supposed to do. Hit the bell. What else are you supposed to do? You bang the drum. I don't know. You're supposed to do some.
Send up a carrier pigeon.
Right.
Anything that gets the word out that there's a Star Wars thing happening.
I'll tell you what. If you buy a billboard, we'll feature you on the show every week while it's up.
That's right.
I don't think anybody's going to do that, but you never know. You just never know. And yeah, make sure to subscribe or follow us on all our social media channels. You can find us at the SSW Network, and you can go to the sswnetwork.com, and you can also join our Patreon program for as little as $3 a month. You'll get free swag, you'll get early access to things, and we do a couple things here and there for the patron group. So we are really excited to get two things tonight. But Nick, we don't start a show unless we have first thing, I almost forgot. We have to say hello to our producer, Kelsey. How are you?
I'm doing all right. How are you guys?
Good. I like the setup. I am gonna feature her here just for fun because she's showing off. You see that little gold statue back there? Look at her flexing. All right,
just a little flex. I didn't put my Emmy in the background.
No,
Kelsey put her Emmy in the background.
I left my participation soccer trophy off the back today. So
that's right. I'm looking for those Philly cook-off medals. I've got.
Absolutely, you did. Absolutely. And of course, we have our king of the lore, king of the comics, king of the chat, our good friend, Chris Ryans. Chris, how are you?
Pete?
Yes.
I'm doing good, brother.
You're doing good. All right, good.
I'm doing good. I'm excited for tonight. The voice actress for one of my favorite Star Wars characters is here, and I'm very excited.
That's awesome. That's great. And hey, if you want to get your Hera collectibles, you're going to go to Bro Axiom.
Yeah.
Bro Axiom Outpost.
I've got them.
And you're going to use your code ATG10 to get 10% off. And sorry, I know we talked about tariffs before, and it's hurt you, but
yeah. Oh, is that a thing? Oh, that guy really doing a number on me.
Oh, yes. Well, hey.
Go to Bro Axiom Outpost, order some stuff from Chris. Help take the sting out of those tariffs that are causing everybody a little bit of a problem.
Absolutely. Nick, do you want to do a quick toast before we hit the news?
I do want to do a quick toast. And as you all know, if you are with us all the time, if you're not with us all the time, we do a monthly Star Wars toast. It's every week, but it changes month to month. It started with Snoketoberfest, where we would drop a Snoke action figure in a beer, chug it in 10 seconds. It just became this fun little game, and it just kept going. So we had Snokevember, we had Darth Simber, we had Jan Dodanuary, which was very popular. Last month was Boba February, and it is currently, as it should be, it is Imperial March. We had a little bit of a technical difficulty. We don't have our video clip ready, but this is going to work the same way. We're going to kind of go with it. I have my Skywalker Ranch pint glass. I have my beer poured. I have the Emperor in his cloth goods with the
lightning.
With the lightning hands. But I am going to raise our toast tonight, and we raise our toast every week to a variety of different friends, situations, things going on in the world. I am raising our toast tonight to our very good friend Holly Fry. Holly actually helped connect us up with Vanessa to be able to do this show tonight. And this is your reminder: if you don't have your copy of Killer Cocktails, Dangerous Drinks from the podcast Criminalia, Holly and Maria, this is a fantastic book. All kinds of cocktails based on historical murderers. It's so great. There's even mocktails in there. So get a copy of Killer Cocktails, support Holly Fry, and thank you to Holly Fry for connecting us with Vanessa and helping us set up what's going to be a great show tonight. So I raise my glass to Holly and to all of you, and I say cheers and happy Imperial March.
Water. Good action figures.
You know what, though, Chris? If people buy them and bury them in the sand, who cares?
I mean, you know what? They bought them. They bought them. Do with it what you will.
Well, we're going to take our first quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about a couple of the news stories that hit this week, and then shortly thereafter, we will be joined by Hera Syndulla herself, Miss Vanessa Marshall. So take us to a break. We'll be back with more ATG Live in just a minute.
What's up, my fellow Gen X Star Wars fam? My name is Chris Rhines from Broaxium. You may know me from ATG's Force Connect that I co-hosted with Pete and Nick. Now, I'm the owner and operator of Broaxium Outpost, an online shop for all your action figure and collectibles needs like Star Wars Black Series, G.I. Joe Classified, Star Wars Vintage Collection, Marvel Legends, Star Wars Black Series and Vintage Collection, Transformers Studio Series, Star Wars lightsabers and helmets, Masters of the Universe, and much, much more, including Star Wars action. All right, I have a lot of Star Wars stuff. I'm just saying. Stop by and check out the store at www.broaxiumoutpost.com. Sign up to become a part of the Bounty Hunters Guild and stay updated on new pre-orders, sales, and exclusive Broaxium content. Find something you like? Use the promo code ATG10 for 10% off your first order. We have Star Wars figures, by the way.
Well, welcome back to ATG Live, your home for all things Star Wars. We do toasts, we do news, we do what else we do? We do decorating tips, or we already said that one. I think we already did that one, but we do like to. Nick, you're muted. It's quite all right.
I've only been doing this for 8 years. I can't believe I can't remember to unmute myself.
That's all right. You know, it's I'm not even going to give you an excuse because I can't think of a good one, but that's all right. We're going to take a different tack on the news this week. So why don't we get to a couple different news stories for the week? So Nick, I'm going to start with the news has come out that the budget for Mandalorian and Grogu is coming in at only $166 million, which is the lowest budgeted Star Wars film since the Clone Wars animated movie, which came out, not surprising. And it's second only to, I believe, I want to say Revenge of the Sith. I could be wrong on that, total budget-wise. And I think part of the challenge is, and one of the things that people are picking up on social media and trying to, social media isn't social media unless it's trying to complain about something or find an issue with something. But one of the things that they are talking about is, well, this means that it's simply season 4 of The Mandalorian. It's a cheap budget. They're not doing. But I think what people are missing is, I think one of the reasons Mandalorian and Grogu works as a movie and why it's going this direction, and the reason it's only $166 million only, is there's not a lot of pre-production needed for this film.
Right.
There's not a lot of sets that need to be built for this film. There's not a lot of costumes and whatnot. I think it just sort of naturally flows very well, and so I don't think that price tag should make people think that the movie's going to be any less than anything else, any other major movie production, because a lot of it has already been created as a result. And even if they are sort of transforming season 4 into a major part of the movie, that's fine. It's going to be cinema quality. What are your thoughts on that when you saw that number?
The thing that you see floated around as this story came out earlier this week is a lot of like, oh, they're making a direct to TV movie. When I grew up in the 80s and 90s, it was direct to VHS. It was a sequel that wasn't good enough to, garner a theatrical release. And so it was the cheaper version, or they replaced people. So there's people trying to make those comparisons. Most of those people trying to make those comparisons are the people that are determined to not like anything, no matter what it is. Right. So I tune out that, right away. I don't think that holds a lot of water. I do like what Lloyd said in the chat. It's the Lucas approach. Less is more. I think there's the opportunity to, we've had some very bloated Star Wars films over the years, and they look great, and technology does cost money. This doesn't concern me, if I'm being honest. Like, they've figured out how to do a lot of things between the volume, between, on-site locations and stuff that they did for Mando season 3.
Yep.
To me, overall, this isn't a concern, but I also think we're just kind of pre-programmed before something comes out to go, what can we look at to try and pick apart while we wait for it to get here? That's just the nature of fandom, and certainly, within, podcasting and content creating communities, everybody's looking for a story or a headline.
Yeah.
Let's go. Let's see what they can put on the screen. I think it makes you more creative when you have the opportunity to go, okay, we don't have as much money. What are we going to do with this? Of course, the thing that everybody, might find interesting, or that we might point to, is the budget of this movie is less than, what we heard about was the kind of overinflated budget for the Acolyte.
Yeah.
What kind of story is that going to create farther down the line? I don't know.
Yeah. And again, I think it's the fact that Mandalorian and Grogu has 24 episodes already under its belt, right? So the sets are there, the a lot of the design is there. So I don't know, it's totally overblown, as is the norm. So
as it typically is. It doesn't concern me ultimately.
Yeah. All right, what do you got?
Well, the next one that I wanted to bring up and talk about, and this got me excited when I heard the news earlier this week as well. Light and Magic season 2.
Yep.
I am such a sucker for behind the scenes everything. Every time the sequel movies came out and there was a documentary from, whatever to Jedi, everything, even growing up, like watching the behind the scenes footage. So the first season of Light and Magic to me was a revelation. It was so great to see the early formings of ILM. So we've got an announcement that season 2 is coming out. It's going to come out on Disney Plus on April 18th. A change. The first season was directed by Larry Kasdan. This season is going to be directed by Joe Johnston, which is a great change. Excited to see how that's going to go. It's going to focus on basically post Jurassic Park era, 90s and 2000s.
Cool.
And it's also going to include, the work that happened in the prequel films, and, a lot of what George. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of George footage we may get. Is it possible that he went and shot some new interviews with him to talk about that time period? I'm a sucker for behind the scenes. It's no secret. I talk about it almost weekly on the show. So to me, this is a huge win. I'm excited for it. Pete, I know you watched the first season. Did it hit you the way it did me? How do you feel about this one?
Yeah, I always think about it, and I think part of it comes from our generation of Star Wars fans, because we didn't have that sort of immediate access to it on VHS or Disney Plus or whatever. And so we were so hungry for everything that came out about behind the scenes. I also feel like Star Wars was the first movie that made celebrities out of the behind the scenes folks. And so I think our generation grew up sort of fascinated by what went into it. And so, give me another season of it, and you know what? While they're at it, maybe give us some more of the behind the scenes stuff that we got for the first season of Mandalorian. Let's get some of that for Kenobi and the other shows. But for sure. No, I'm really excited about it for sure. Well, cool. Well, another thing that we learned about this week was that we got a first look at Star Wars Visions Volume 3, an episode of the new anthology series hit at the Annecy Film Festival, and it was an episode called Black, and it's sort of a psychedelic battle between past and present, light and dark, life and death. It's like this tormented psyche of an Imperial soldier near defeat, which to me, this is what Visions does so well, is it takes us to different places in Star Wars without having to be so concerned about canon, to dig into sort of the humanity side. I think that was what I really liked about Visions Volume 2, was the stories that they felt more human to me. The first season was that big anime style, which I'm not necessarily into, but I enjoyed the stories. I love the spectacle of them. Second season was, a couple stories that really told singular human stories, and this one really feels like it's going in that direction. And I have to agree with Framey there. I would love to see another episode of Ronin. That was fantastic. But now, what are your thoughts on coming back to Visions? And
I love Visions.
The concept,
yeah, and just like you, anime is not something that's traditionally one of the mediums that I consume. Just like comics, much to Chris's dismay, as we say every week. I love what they did in those first two seasons, and I feel like you. The first season was, very traditionally anime. those were Japanese studios. The second season, they went more international. They spread it out. We had those studios from all those different places. And within that, my favorite one, and I can't think of it now, is the story from the studio in India. I loved that story so much.
Yeah, that was great.
It was very, very Indiana Jones feeling, just hit, all the sweet spots for me. This is one of my favorite parts of modern, Star Wars storytelling right now, is the fact that they can tell these stories, they can spread them out, they can come from different places and different creators. And I think it's just great. So, the more of this that we get, the more opportunities it gives them. It's kind of like our version of, What If. Marvel has done so much with What If and, telling these other stories. That's what this is for me. And it's so much fun. And so I love hearing from other cultures. I saw something the other day that somebody did like a personal project, but it was an animation, Japanese animation of like New Hope or something like that. And it was just, again, seeing somebody else's take on it, because the version I got when I was a kid isn't the only interpretation of that piece of art. So I think it's awesome.
No, I agree. I think sort of getting different versions of because again, we look at it through our US centered eyes, and to see the way Star Wars impacts other cultures and the way they apply it is really great. So, cool. So, I think that's going to do it for the news for now. If you keep up with the SSWnetwork.com, as the news comes out, we try to get those stories up there real quick. Little 250-word short bits if you want the details. We always link to the original articles. We always give you the information you need. But keep up with us for all your Star Wars news. And now we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we are going to be joined by Hera Syndulla herself, Vanessa Marshall. So we'll be back with more ATG Live in just 1 minute. Well, welcome back to ATG Live, your Thursday night home for all things Star Wars. Make sure you're liking, subscribing, and sharing. And hey, listen, if you're watching us on Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it, we can see you, but we can't see your comments necessarily. So feel free to come on over to YouTube, youtube.com /at the SSW Network, if you want to bring your questions in and share your comments during our conversation with our next guest. Our next guest joining us on the show right now is the incredibly talented Vanessa Marshall. She's an accomplished voice actress and a model, and Vanessa is one of the brightest stars in the Star Wars galaxy. She's best known for bringing the fearless rebel pilot Hera Syndulla to life in Star Wars Rebels and The Bad Batch, but she also voiced Mandalorian warrior Rook Kast in the final season of Clone Wars. Her Star Wars credits don't stop there. She's also voiced Jan Ors in the Jedi Knight II Jedi Outcast game, contributed to Knights of the Old Republic 2, and even lent her voice on the big screen to a rebel pilot named Wona Goban in Rogue One, a Star Wars story. We are thrilled to welcome Vanessa Marshall. There she is.
Hey. What's up, Star Wars family? How's everybody doing?
Oh, so good. How are you doing?
Excellent. Never better. I'm so happy we were able to get this going so quickly, and here we are from all over. I love it.
All over. That's right.
Hello to everyone online, my Star Wars family. Hello, Andrew.
Well, awesome. Well, I'll kick us off by saying Rebels is really, it's funny. It's one of those shows that I have to admit, when I first saw some of the artwork and the trailers, I was like, oh, this is going to be a fun show, but it's for kids, because let's face it, Taylor and as Ezra with the slingshot felt to me a little, that's Bart Simpson. That's not me. But it quickly became, within the first 20 minutes of the show, And to everybody who's part of ATG Live, it's become one of our, if not our favorite Star Wars stories. So, how did you get involved in the show? How are you cast? How did you sort of start your Rebels journey?
Forgive me if folks are listening and they've heard this story before, but there was an audition that came through. I get stuff from my agency. I've been with CESD since 1997. What? I know. And I saw episode 4 in the theater. So, hey, do the math. Anyway, by the way, that's my mullet shot from 11th grade. That's on display for all to admire. I know. I love
it. I love that you have it as a pillow also.
Well, I look at it as like my hair. It was my leku back in the day. Yeah. And I even have this pillow while we're digressing here for a moment. Again, just, when you doubt yourself, just go, nah, I got this. Okay. Anyway, moving on. So I got this audition and it had all kinds of code names and it had a light sword and everything for me, even in a grocery store, like looking at what's in someone's shopping cart is a metaphor for a Star Wars film or a comic book or something. Like everything is Star Wars for me. So I took the term light sword and there was something about the cause. And I took that to be sort of the formation of the Rebel Alliance. Now, little did I know that I'm literally directly on, on the precise topic. It's so funny because Taylor thought that he was reading for Mowgli in the Jungle Book because it was codenamed Wolf. And, But I got to tell you, while I imbued all this Star Wars specificity because Star Wars is my life, I never thought I'd be so lucky to audition for a Star Wars cartoon. Are you kidding me? Mm-hmm. Clone Wars changed my life and healed my childhood. And, it was just a point of reference for me. Anyway, as it turns out, it was indeed Star Wars. And I got a call back, which I also thought was as good as my life was going to get. I'm not putting myself down. I'm just saying, like, please, this was crazy. So I went in and there's Dave Filoni in the studio, 100% trying to breathe, act normal. I'm a professional. I remembered my choices. I did the audition and I remember I kept the parking pass because once again, I told myself, this is as good as my life will ever get. I was near the cowboy hat. Oh my goodness. And my ex-husband, Andrew Kishino, it's his birthday today, by the way. Everybody wish Andrew Kishino, I think it's Big Kish on Instagram, wish him a happy birthday. He was the voice of Saw Gerrera. And I would say to him like, oh man, Saw Gerrera, Ryloth, like the whole thing. Oh my God, and here, I just never thought my life would be that great. And so they narrowed it down. I think there were 3 actresses and it could have gone either way. And when I got the call, I was sobbing. I was on the floor, hyperventilate. I mean, I care so much about it that, I know you guys understand vis-a-vis your backgrounds. Like, I know you understand me. I know you do. And, it would be too rocky to take you all the way upstairs into my Star Wars room to show you my collection upstairs. This is like streaming room. There's like a couple things here that I don't want to make you sick, but these are gifts. That's a Sabine helmet. That's that's a Bucky's, if we're being honest. But I've got that's over there as a plaque for my being inducted into the Mandalorian Mercs. Anyway, I couldn't believe it. We showed up to do the shorts and Taylor had not been cast yet, but I met Tiya and I met Freddie and they showed us this huge book of, this is where you sleep at night. This is, Sabine's artwork. I was just like, have I died and gone to heaven? I just never wanted to go home. It was, oh my gosh, we have such a reverence for it. And Freddie is kind of an OG Star Wars fan and Tiya was learning in real time. Eventually Taylor showed up and boy, did he kill it. We just thought, well, there's Ezra. And we went on our merry way. And so many of us really mirrored who we are as people. Now, granted, I'm half Italian. I don't know if that's it, but I'm a very nurturing person. And if anyone has low blood sugar anywhere near me, I 100%, I can't. I just can't. I have to like, I carry around a bag of like, it's a purse, but I have beef jerky. I've got bars. I've got gluten-free. What is your malfunction? Like I can, you know, but so I was always,
you really are a space mom.
I'm 100% bona fide space mom. I've never birthed anything but a great idea. No children. But I'm such a space mom. There's one girl, I think her name is Miles. I hope or their name. I don't know how she identifies or what they do. But I'm like, they wanted to come and see me this, what is it? The next weekend, March 30th on the Sunday, I'm at OG Collectibles. And, they said, well, I don't know if I can afford it. I'm like, hugs are free. So Space Mom is right here for y'all. Anyway, and Steve is always clowning around, and Freddie is incredibly serious, teaching Taylor how to do voiceover work. I mean, it really was like a Jedi and a Padawan. And Tiya and I are both huge sports fans, and so we were always, hey, what do you think, man? How's it looking? Which is we're interesting, nuanced versions of women, I guess. So. Yeah, tough broads, if you will. Yeah. So anyway, life imitates art, art imitates life, and we all got along famously, and the rest is history. Here we are.
That's great. I love it.
Vanessa, like you're talking a little bit about your other roles and like just these strong women roles, and what I'm like hearing, because I mean you've played pretty much every cool like female action like superhero or any like thing that like a nerd would gravitate towards. Like, what do some of those roles mean to you? Like, I mean,
oh well, okay. So Mary Jane, I love Spectacular Spider-Man. I love the story of Spider-Man. I love, with great power comes great responsibility. It's so complicated, and I've always loved how Mary Jane helps kind of facilitate and foster his growth as an individual. And I always wanted the chance to embody her essence. And I'm doing a Honda commercial. I did the legal tags for Honda, like Lisa 212, whatever it was, that stuff at the end of the commercial. But we were on a break, and my agent called, and she said, "Is this Mary Jane?" And then all you saw was I was standing and then on the floor. And they beeped in. They were like, do you need a doctor? And so that was incredible. And I got to say, that was the most spectacular cast to work with. I am so honored to have been a part of that. Greg Weisman is an incredible writer, and everyone involved. It was just really, really special. And then, of course, Wonder Woman. We all had the underoos. Well, gentlemen, maybe you did not, but we all had the bracelets.
I had the Superman ones.
Yeah. Let's go.
Yeah, let's go. So I'm more of a Marvel fan. I feel like I'm not Batman. That's not fair to say, but I feel like the Marvel characters are more forlorn and hilarious. And some of the DC are like, I'm for me. Whatever.
A little more serious, right?
But, I want a little more humor. Yeah. I like how self-deprecating. So, I mean, X-Men, you can't, Marvel is just hilarious. I love Marvel. But of course, Wonder Woman is Wonder Woman. So there's that. And I also got to play Black Canary in Young Justice. Another fantastic role. Topping the list is playing Ruth Bader Ginsburg in the
Rick and Morty. Yep.
Wow. Yeah, that was pretty awesome. But so, yeah, there have been a number of strong female characters, and I've had quite a journey on Earth myself. And, I'm maintaining about a 50-pound weight loss for, over 20 years now. And I started that journey by picking up martial arts. So I'm a martial artist. And so I'm capable of, fist to cuff, if you will. I'm not, inviting people to come punch me or anything, but
it's not a challenge to come at her, bro.
But I've had to find my voice, and I've had to own it and, emulate the skills and the transcendence and the elegance and the superpowers of some of these women to sort of find my own way. And I felt like when I started booking those jobs, it was an affirmation that I have done a lot of work on myself as a woman to stand in my truth and help those who need it. And I very much identify with that cause. So not in a performative way, but in a way that's just intrinsic to who I am as a person. They call me the mayor of the gym because I'm always making sure everyone's all right there. Like, no, it's my other tribe. But anyway.
Awesome.
I love that. And I love that answer to that question as someone who's lucky enough to be the husband to a strong woman and the father to 4 daughters.
Hey,
I love having, seeing these role models, seeing these people. My kids love Rebels. When I told them that I was going to get to talk to you, they're like, no way. Like, it was a big deal. And it's because of who Hera is. If I bring us back to Rebels a little bit, we talked about how you got involved. But talking about, we talked about with our news story about Light and Magic, like I'm such a sucker for production and behind the scenes and that kind of stuff. Talk a little bit about the process, because obviously voice acting is a different thing. I know I've heard you in other interviews talk about, there's probably more times than we realize, like y'all were in the studio together. Yes. What are some things about the production and maybe even some things about the production of something like this that we would be surprised to know?
Well, we had sort of this back room in the studio where we recorded, and it was kind of our tree house, if you will. It was kind of our little lair. And when we would get in there, we would huddle up almost like before a hockey game, and meaning before we hit the ice. Like Filoni would come in and he would tell us the aspects of the show that are important and the story arcs and what we need to focus on and ignore and this and that. And then we would break the huddle, and then we would get to work. And I can remember Sam Witwer coming, much later on. Oh, he scared me. I kept seeing him in the Spider Mall, like click, clack, clack. I mean, when he came out, when Savage found him, I just like I also thought I was going to have a stroke. Like that made me so happy. It also made me hopeful that maybe Plo Koon is somewhere too. I don't know, probably not. But
well, if anybody's going to bring him back, it's going to be Dave because he loves that guy.
He told me that it's been forbidden from high above, so it'll never happen. But I'm still going to hold the candle. But yeah, there were just those moments where either people would guest or Sam would come in, and when Ashley made her first appearance at the end of season 1, as a Clone Wars fan, there were just certain moments for me personally that were electric. And she is such a kind, incredibly classy soul. She brought us presents, and I definitely ugly cried when I met her. Well, I mean, please, it's Snips. Like, how are you going to do anything other than sob? I could not. And I thanked her for her work and all that she did. And I can only hope that some of the stuff that we did in Rebels, spoiler alert, Kanan makes the ultimate sacrifice, but it happens in the middle of the season. And we spend the rest of the season sort of healing from it together as a family. I hope that similarly helped people go through things in their own lives that demonstrate that we can get through anything together. And, that chosen family sometimes is more powerful than any, given bond. And we were lucky to have that develop naturally, and I could feel it as things went on. So.
Yeah. And it's funny you say that. And I get it from you, even though this is the first time we've met officially, you and Ashley. I mean, I remember seeing Ashley at Star Wars Celebration in Anaheim, just like walking around. She did this really interesting, fun little show for younger kids, and she was just in the middle of the floor, and just such a just a great human being. And I think and hearing you talk about your sort of reverence for Star Wars and coming from there. Have you found that most of the people you've been involved with in Rebels, or even as you continue to be part of the Star Wars family, they all seem to have this same sort of, nobody just comes into it because it's a job, I feel like, is kind of where I'm going with that.
Well, yeah, not to my knowledge. I mean, everyone I know, I don't know anyone. I don't know how you couldn't. Although, truth be told, I have a friend who says, "So, are you going to go hang with your Star Wars friends?" Oh my God. You know, there's an S at the end of. There's quite a few. Okay, like one of the things I just never corrected at the beginning, and I've literally known her since forever. We used to do stand-up comedy together, and I guess there are some people who don't understand what we're doing. I mean, it's Star Wars, so there's that. But as far as I know, everyone involved in it, whether Taylor came to it, you know, having never seen a single thing and learned in real time, I got to see. I mean, in our podcast, when they start arguing about jetpacks versus lightsabers, I mean, Jon Brody, the incredible moderator who works with Freddie all the time, but you know, we both just kind of sat back and we're like, okay, we're gonna let these kids duke it out. I don't know. Let us know when you're done. Yeah. Anyway, but yeah.
I mean, it definitely seems like you carry. There's a lot of the real personality, and I think that's what's one of the great things about this Rebels Pod of Rebellion that you guys are doing now. We get to hear you guys talking about, and what's interesting too is so many of the sort of recap shows are done like the week after that the show is done, or they recorded it before and it's sort of a pre. This is looking back on it, and what I get from it, and Nick, I think you were saying this something similar, is what I get from it is you guys, you are, I mean, Tiya is Sabine, and as you were just saying, Taylor is Ezra, and you are Hera, and so when you listen to that show, it's almost like getting more Rebels episodes in a way.
In a way, yes, definitely. Steve joins us. We're still waiting for everyone's schedule to come together to get everybody, you know, as they join the show. James Arnold Taylor wants to come on. My buddies over at the Moonshine Cantina, we want to have a sabacc game. Yeah, I love those guys so much. Met them in Nashville. If y'all want to play sabacc, please join us. I'm not sure when we're going to be doing it again, but I'll tell you what, I have never laughed so hard in my life, and learned so much as well. But and hopefully we're trying to put together another Star Wars RPG group. We were able to play, I think it's Age of Empire, if I'm not mistaken. I might have gotten the name wrong, but Sam Witwer was the DM, and it was Steve Bloom and Mary Elizabeth and his wife and Taylor. Yeah, Tiya was like, I would rather die. And we each his own, very good. But we there's another RPG that wants to work with us. So I don't know. So, you know, stay tuned for that. It's interesting with there's a video game strike currently going on.
Yeah.
And this was originally my live stream studio where I, you know, have my Twitch channel, and I had Women Crush Wednesday, and I would play the video games I voiced with other women in the game, and we raise money for different women's charities, Black Girls Code, Step Up Women's Network, all kinds. And unfortunately, in observance of the strike, I'm not allowed to play any games that I'm in. So I found myself playing Mario Kart, like aging. And anyway, so we will resume that as soon as there is a fair, equitable agreement reached. Hopefully that will happen. And for more information, check out IG Game Performance Matters. You can find out more of the facts. And I believe there's even a fan petition that fans can sign to say, for example, for The Last of Us, could you imagine if Troy Baker didn't take you through that world? If it were a computer instead, it might be good enough, which is supposedly what they want to do and think is fine for gamers. But as someone who understands what Troy gave in that game and what it gave to gamers, even Anjali Bhimani, Jennifer Hale in Mass Effect, like some of these people, it takes a lot of courage to step up to a microphone and reveal your soul and be that authentic and share that. And I feel like that is a palpable success formula that is necessary for a game to blossom in the way that those games I mentioned did and were so powerful. If fans sign the petition, it basically says, no, I want my Troy Baker. I want my Jennifer Hale it matters that there's a human being connecting with the gamers. And so anyway, but in the meantime, RPG games are not video games. So we are transitioning to see if we can't always paying it forward. We like to have fun and pay it forward. We'll probably benefit the Make-A-Wish Foundation. And hi, Christina. Hi there. I can't see the chat. So if people are saying, I see some hellos here and there, but hello to everybody in the chat. Thank you so much for being here. Lots and lots of love. Hi, Hinton Star Wars family. Anyway, I think I saw Stefan. It's great to see friends here. Thank you. Some of these people come to my Women Crush Wednesday. But anyway, yeah, it's just so funny how we all, there he is. Yeah. Hi, Stefan. We all hang out together and do the RPG stuff. Like, I don't know, people in their day jobs sometimes are like, oh man, if I just get me out of here. You know what I mean? Like we finish our day job and we're like, all right, let's go RPG, more Star Wars.
Let's Star Wars some more.
Yeah. So it's so much fun. I'm so Edge of the Empire. Maybe that's it. I'd have to look it up. My apologies. I don't have the book. Sam had the book. Sam Witwer is an incredible DM.
Yeah.
We did a DC activation. I got to play Wonder Woman for that, Diana. And actually I found those episodes on YouTube. I posted about it recently, but you can watch them all. It was a really great RPG with Freddie Prinze Jr. And we were, it was a whole, you have to watch it. DC All-Stars is what it's called. You can find it online on YouTube. But yeah, so that we're family in the show and we're family in life. So
yeah. So before I forget, I just want to make sure I say again, check out Pod of Rebellion. We're not going anywhere, but just before I forget, say it again. Pod of Rebellion. You can find it wherever you find podcasts. Comes out weekly. Now, is the plan to go through all 74 episodes?
Yes. And sprinkled in between, I believe our next episode that we're going to tape is going to be fan questions. So if you have any questions or anything you want us to share, you can email podofrebellionpodcast@gmail.com. And you can send us questions. You can send us pictures of your cosplay, any fan theories. You can go off on lightsabers or jetpacks, whatever you would love for us to answer on the podcast. We're going to do that. But also, here's what we've discovered. There are all kinds of celebrities and athletes who are mega Star Wars Rebels fans. There it is. Feel free to email us. We are getting all kinds of questions and we can't wait to answer them. But once every 3 or so, we're going to have guests that are not on the show explain to us what Star Wars means to them, and how Star Wars Rebels in particular impacted them. And it's really funny because Jon Brody is friends with so many people, many athletes, having to do with the Angel City, the LA women's soccer team, also the Lakers. I mean, crazy basketball players that he knows who are like bananas for Star Wars Rebels. I was like, nuh-uh. So the show is wide open. Yes, we will go through each episode, all 4 seasons, and talk about sort of what it was like to see it on the page, what it was like to say it out loud and own the words, and how they morphed, how many takes we did, which takes were chosen as opposed to the other ones that were on the cutting room floor, and the different guests that we've had along the way. And we had Jason Isaac. He came in and built an entire golf course during the thing. And I thought Freddie was definitely going to murder him, like right there, because he's so professional. But yeah, I mentioned that at, I think it was C2E2 last year. And Freddie was like, no, I wasn't mad at all. I was like, well, looks like you were, well, because who goes into a studio? We've all been there for, I don't know, a bit. And no one thought, oh, I'm going to just open up the closet and I'm going to discover a miniature golf course and I'm going to set it up right in front of my microphone and I'm going to putt and then say a line and then putt and then say a line. We were just like, he is the Inquisitor. He was fully, cat and mousing, playing with Freddie, and it was working because I definitely thought he was they had a whole fight scene coming up. I was like, well, this will be good, but we talk about fun stuff like that.
Yeah, that's great. The stuff that makes it real for everybody, right? Yeah.
Right. Definitely.
Nick, you're muted once again.
What a
Every time. Speaking of it being made real for everybody, and this is a question that I have wanted to ask, and from the first time I watched Rebels, we said at the top of the show, I'm not the targeted audience. I don't believe I was the target audience for Rebels when it came out. I'm an older Gen X Star Wars fan. I love Star Wars, so that was the audience, of course. But like Pete, I saw it initially and thought, oh, it's a kid show. Immediately got hooked and went, this is the best Star Wars storytelling I've maybe ever seen. Like, it hooked me in a way that, I wasn't prepared for. I love this show. But something that has always stood out to me is Kanan and Hera's relationship throughout this show. And I am willing to put money hands down, as the people say with the meme, change my mind. It is the healthiest couple relationship in all of Star Wars.
Oh, wow.
Is Kanan and Hera healthier than Han and Leia? Because I see in it the respect, I see the love that they have for each other, but I also see what I see with my spouse. Like, we're going to rag on each other about stuff. And when a plan doesn't go, we're like, that was a good idea, wasn't it? Where was that informed? Was that informed in, the friendship between you and Freddie? Did that come from Dave? Like, I would love to, is there any insight into how that specific relationship, was dictated as y'all were making the show?
Well, Hera has brought this group together, and she chose each individual for a specific reason. And I went back and read John Jackson Miller's A New Dawn.
New Dawn. Recommend. It's a great book.
It gave me a better understanding of Kanan, of his history, his self-doubt, his untapped power, his resources, and why he is incredibly valuable. It doesn't get very romantic between them per se in that novel. But I think that's always going to be the case with Hera, because she is hyper-focused on the mission.
Correct.
She makes herself number 2 because she has the humility to understand that if caught, she can't be number 1. It's better for him to look like number 1. And I would say, I mean, that's interesting that you say it's the healthiest relationship. Healthiest in terms of maybe they're not being phony with each other. They're being very direct with each other. I agree.
Right.
But in the sense that I think when he sacrifices himself and she says, I thought I had more time.
Heartbreaking. It was.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to even say that without getting emotional because, I was going to say, if you live in America these days, you work and 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 then you work and then you have a side hustle and then you work and then you maybe go to the doctor, but then you got to go to work. And that may be the case around the world, but I feel like many people here in America are always working and never taking time for themselves and finding that work-life balance. And I feel like Hera learns the hard way why it is important to let people know that they matter. And it's important to take time, when she sees that lives are hanging in the balance, something as petty or silly as a romantic connection seems like a waste of time. And yet, one always assumes, well, there'll be time for that later. Even the way we're set up to work and work and retire and do nothing. Well, let's hope you make it to retirement. I mean, there's something to be said for, so I question how healthy it was to be so hyper-focused on work. And yet maybe there would have been, I felt like what she learned is that there could have been more time for them to be together, but she did not make that a priority. But one could also argue maybe she would have been distracted by that and not accomplished as much as she did. And, and that's the thing. There are millions of career women. And, I really respect it when people take time to be with their families. I think it really matters. It really matters that we let each other know how much we mean to each other. So
absolutely. And I want to echo, and maybe Andrew said it better than I did. I think in terms of healthy, it feels like a real relationship. And I think that's actually more of where I'm coming from.
Exactly. Yes.
The way they interacted,
yeah.
there was still work to do. Yeah, dinner's ready, but we still have to go do this thing. You know, we talk about in my house all the time, we're not roommates. We're not high-fiving in between, dropping the kids off and going to work and doing X and Y and Z.
Sure.
There is still a relationship to be nurtured in there. And you see that with them. They're in the middle of a rebellion. They're in the middle of high stakes, big, important things, but the love still comes through in the way they interact, in the way that they connect with each other, even in the middle of that. And I think that's what I, tried to hone in on.
Yeah. So I think, you asked, is it something that I developed with Freddie? I think each script had its own set of obligations, and there were little glimpses here and there, like I call him love, and but she's very affectionate with a lot of people. But Han and Leia, we pretty much knew what was happening there, right? I mean, this one was a bit more ambivalent, at least on screen. And yet, Jason would tell you that things indeed did get intimate between the two of them. I did not know I had a son. Cool. So there was time for that, apparently. And I did ask when that happened. I think it happened in a commercial break. One is at dusk and one is at dawn. And Filoni said it happened in there. I was like,
somewhere right in there.
Somewhere in there. But anyway, I think Freddie and I had a good rapport. And I think we had to work. Like, I didn't really take a lot of time to get to know Freddie, to be honest with you. I mean, we went to work and he was fine enough. And I found him to be incredibly insightful and so wise. I've said I wanted to get a bracelet that would say, "What would Freddie do?" Because he just does not mess about. And I love him being so direct and committed to his family values and everything. I don't know. He's such a solid, wonderful man, truly. So that much I knew, but I didn't really, we didn't hang out other than the RPG stuff per se. But so I don't know that it's not like Freddie and I were like, seeing stars every time we looked at each other. I don't know. We were just like, hey, what's up?
But in a way, that's kind of Kanan and Hera, right?
It is.
They worked together. There was more going on, but they worked together, and that was
exactly.
critical,
And I think you understood what he meant to her once he was gone.
Yeah.
And that's when she gave herself the space to admit what he meant and grieve and heal and get on with it anyway. And anyway, that was very cathartic. And no one wanted Freddie to leave. We were all very sad in real time. So.
Well, Vanessa, if you have time for a couple more questions, we'd love to. Chris from our team here has a question. Hey,
what's up?
Yeah. Well, it's one gush and one question. Let me get the gush out of the way real quick. All right. So, back in 2018, the episode you were just talking about with past Kanan's death, which I can't watch those episodes anymore. Between the cast and the whole entire team, the way that you all captured that pain, was so real. Because, like, for me, 2 weeks before that episode, my father passed away. So I was still going through it, and I was there. I was just there grieving with you guys because Kanan's one of my favorite Star Wars characters. So, like, but the way you guys captured that pain, I thought was perfect, absolutely perfect.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that, and I'm very sorry for your loss.
Oh, thank you. And the question I have is, there was one episode where we call it code switching, and Hera was with her father, Tiya Sircar, and she's having an argument with him, and all of a sudden her accent goes from basic to that Ryloth accent.
Yep.
And it caught me by surprise. I was like, wait, hold on. Because I always wanted to hear Hera talk with that accent, so I thought that was really cool. What was the? Because I thought that was like a perfect transition. Like it was beautiful. So what went into that? Was that more of you putting that in there, or was that more direction from the directors?
Filoni. Well, here's the thing. So on my way to the first record, I got a call from my agent. She said, "Oh, by the way, can you prepare the entire script with a French accent, and just in case, sort of an Israeli accent?" I said, "Do you mean a Ryloth accent?" And she said, "I'm not really sure, but just be ready to do that in case they want to go that way." And I was like, "Well, that's kind of intense. That'll be fun to improvise." And I didn't have a script for the first session, so I was like, I'm probably going to get fired. I have no idea what I'm doing, but they didn't ask for that at the top. Now, I am fluent in French. So I grew up there's a restaurant here in Los Angeles called La Poubelle. Jacqueline is the owner. I learned how to speak French with her, like falling off a log. And anyway, prior to that episode, even coming into my email inbox and reading it, I got a text from Filoni saying, "Hey, would she ever speak in her hometown accent?" And I was like, "Only if she's mad." And then he never followed up on it. So I didn't know. I was like, okay, whatever. And I'm like, oh my gosh, Dave Filoni just texted me. How do I even act normal? Like, what is happening? But then, so we did the scene and, she's getting a hissy fit with him or whatever it is. And, not seeing eye to eye. And he just leaned on the thing. He's going, "Hey, you remember that time I texted you? Do that." And I went, oh, yeah, man. And then I just went right in there, like, no, that is not what is, whatever the exact argument is, and sliced it. And I was like, poof, mic drop. Now, I had no idea whether they would even use that, if it sounded cool in the moment. It was the last take we did. So like many sessions, you do like 20 takes and you're like, okay, see you next week. Bye. No clue what's going to work. So it was always a delight for me to watch the episodes. I would watch with my friends on what was then known as Twitter. We would live tweet together and, freaking out because nothing could prepare us for, Joel, Eric, Killian Plunkett, all these incredible people at Lucasfilm, like the colors, all of it was so breathtaking. And so we also got to see in real time what choices were made and, which ones were sort of collage put together to create a huge fan experience. So I was delighted to see that made it, into the final round there. And it makes sense because I've got friends from the South and they have this thing, they move to the Northeast and they get this and that. But then when a cousin calls and they start throwing down on the phone, it's just right back to the Southern accent, right? Or even my friends from Philly, they'll all of a sudden like Hoogie and whatever else. It happens. I don't know. And it's not, I mean, code switching is a really cool way to, encapsulate what is going on there. But it's, she let her guard down and lost the ability to cloak herself with basic. She was so upset that she just lost that was a chess move on her part to lose the accent. And in that moment, she lost that ability.
Yeah. And that, again, I think that's what is so great about all these characters is they're so real. And because we had so much time with them in Rebels, right? We had that time to grow with them and these things kind of hit. So that was a great question, Chris. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
We do have, I think we have a voicemail from one of our patrons. So let me see.
Oh my gosh, no way.
Yeah, let me see.
So exciting. This is so high tech. Oh my goodness.
Well, tell me if you don't hear anything in a second, it means it didn't work. Let's see. Here we go.
Hey fellas, this is Matthew and Enid. Hey, I got a question for Vanessa. What was her favorite Rebels episode and what is her favorite Star Wars memory? I guess that's two questions, but I talk a lot, so I don't care. All right. I'll be watching on Thursday. Take it easy, guys. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, I would say my favorite episode is the B-Wing episode when Hera gets to fly a B-Wing.
Yep.
That episode meant a lot to me. My father he was in the Air Force and he was a news reporter at KNBC here in Los Angeles for many years. And when he retired, I dared him to get his pilot's license. And not only did he get it, he flies an open cockpit biplane. No jokes. Like, he does aerobatics and the whole thing. So I dedicated that episode to my dad. I don't know if you can see this picture. That's my dad's plane upside down.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
I
That
know.
is awesome.
He's not kidding. He is not kidding. So
it's amazing.
Yeah. So when she talks about the value of flight and, all that it means to her, that for me was a very, very special episode. And I would have to say my favorite memory, oh gosh, when I met Peter Mayhew, I couldn't look him in the eye, because if you look at his eyes, you can see Chewie. And my first action figure was Chewie. And it's off card. Don't judge. Next time I'm here, I'll
That's
do.
right. I got all my little off cards.
There you go.
Original ones here.
I'll do our next podcast upstairs near my collection, so I can show you.
Nice.
For a point of reference. There you go. Let's go. But I was at Star Wars weekends down in Orlando, and I realized I was actually being rude to him, because I couldn't look at him. I was like, I couldn't speak English. It was useless. But at the very end, we had this, the group of us, James Arnold Taylor was on stage, and it was his birthday, and they had a huge Millennium Falcon cake, and we got to sing happy birthday to him. And he walked to the cake, and he had all this surgery to be able to do the movies. And it was one of the most powerful moments of my life. Like, I kept it together on stage, but I'll never forget. I went in the bathroom after, and I just looked at myself in the mirror, and I was like, this is why you never give up. You never, ever, ever give up, because you do not know what life can bring. I mean, if you would have told me when I was playing with my Chewie action figure back in the day, like, I was an only child. I was like a loner, a dork, whatever. I took so much shelter in these characters and these stories, and I learned so much from them, that to think that I would ever be anywhere near someone of that greatness. I remember my Molly, she was my Disney guide or whatever, and she's a dear friend. She's still living in Florida, but Molly drove me back to the hotel after. I was like, can you just pull over for 1 second? She's like, oh my God, are you going to throw up? I said, no. And I looked at her, and I just started ugly crying, and I hugged her, and she's like, I know you know how lucky you are. And that moment, I just, if anyone's out there struggling for any reason whatsoever, just please believe in miracles, because I'm very privileged and honored to be anywhere near this franchise, but I swear it is always worth it. Like, the darkest day is before the dawn, and just know that it gets better, and anything is possible. And I'm living proof of that. So I'm deeply, deeply grateful to be part of the Star Wars family. And there are a million more memories to come. And I hope that y'all will come and join us for the Pod of Rebellion. Email us at podofrebellionpodcast@gmail.com. We'll answer your questions. And hopefully we can just keep hanging out, Star Wars family for life. Let's go, guys. Let's go.
Absolutely. Now, you're going to be in Japan for Star Wars Celebration.
I will.
Yes.
I will be there. There's a panel that I'm hosting with Oscar Isaac, of all things, on Saturday. Yes, we're two pilots talking about our flight skills and what have you. That's at 2:45 on Saturday. That's the 19th. And there's a cosplay contest that I'll be judging with Ashley.
Okay.
So that should be fun. That's later that day at 4:30. Two other panels I know I want to go to. 3:30 on Friday, the 18th. Lucasfilm does its 20th anniversary panel. I'm 100% there. Oh my gosh, Sal Perales. Okay, the Rogue Rebels are my ride or die family for life. Sal,
those are the cosplayer family.
Yes.
Sal, connect with us. I definitely want to talk to you. I've been dying to talk to you. So please.
Their whole family. I can't tell you how much it's meant. Like, they've had my back in a way that is just ride or die family stuff. Like, so Sal, I love you. I love Liz. I love your whole family. And I cannot wait to be in Japan with you. But also on Sunday, there's a Rebels screening at 2 p.m. And I will be signing autographs and doing photo ops. I don't know exactly what the schedule is for that, but if you're there, holler, say hi. I'm easily accessible on socials. Like, let's hang, let's do this.
That's awesome. And you can check out Pod of Rebellion, which Nick and I every week, they have 2 weeks in a row. We've listened to it. We've texted each other with things that we heard. And so and again, like I said, people who love Rebels like us here, like most of our followers and listeners, it's a show that has come to mean so much to so many people. And you have just been absolutely wonderful. And if you're listening, or if you get the chance to listen to the podcast, it's a great way to bring that family together. And we're going to try to bring you back in a couple weeks after Japan with some of the other Rebels.
Yes.
We'll do this again.
Please, we'll all process Celebration together, and we can all. Yes. Taylor is on his way back from India from a bachelor party, and Tia's filming a movie in Nashville. So they have good reasons to not be here today, but I will corral the kids. Space Mom will bring them back.
Excellent. Well, we would
love
that. So, Vanessa, thank you so much for your time tonight, and go listen to Pod of Rebellion. Follow Vanessa. Where can they follow you on the socials?
On the socials, on IG is mostly where you'll find me. Instagram is at Vanessa Marshall 1138. I am on Blue Sky as well. I have a fan page on Facebook, but also very quickly, next weekend is WonderCon. Friday night, I'm doing a Blood of Zeus panel. I play Hestia in season 2 of Blood of Zeus.
Ooh.
That's on Netflix. At 7:00, there's a panel Friday night, if you're going to be there, anybody. And then Saturday, there's another movie that I'm in, ironically with Oscar Isaac. I did not realize, but it's called King of Kings. And I'm doing a panel at 3 on Saturday for WonderCon. And then on Sunday, I'll be at OG Collectibles from 10 to 3 with Ashley and James Arnold Taylor and Taylor. Wow. So if you're in the neighborhood, come on down, say what's up. You don't have to spend money. Just hugs are free. Let's go. Anyway, thank you for having me. And I look forward to discussing all things again soon.
Excellent. Absolutely. We'll have a great trip to Japan, and we'll talk to you after that.
Thank you. God bless.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
Well, that was an amazing treat to speak to Vanessa for as long as she gave us. Really appreciate that. Big fan, of course. And, we did talk a little bit about Celebration Japan. We can now share that we will have Paul Sun-Young Lee with us the week of Celebration. He's going to come and join us. It'll be talking about what we want to see at Celebration, sort of the Star Wars Celebration preview. And so he'll be hanging out with us on April 17th. Look for the Ryan McGee podcast. I didn't get a chance to edit it this week. I really wanted to. I apologize.
Slacker.
I'm a slacker. And we're going to take the audio from here and put this the Vanessa conversation in the podcast stream. You can find all that at our website, the sswnetwork.com. I think that's it, right? Did I hit everything I needed to hit?
I think you have hit all the details. We're going to be back again next week. We're going to have some more fun. We're going to, just continue to hang out on Thursday night. I will say this to anybody who is tuning in for the first time this week. Thank you for being here. We love having new folks hang out. Our friends Framey are here tonight. Hang out in the chat, and they said super early on, did we want to mention weird space friends? That's how we call each other. My wife coined that term several years ago. She said, are you hanging out with your weird space friends tonight? That's it. This is a place to hang out, to have some fun, to talk about Star Wars, have a drink. So thank you for being here. To those of you that are here with us every week, we love you. We're always appreciative of your support as well. So it's been a fabulous night. Thanks to Chris and to Kelsey for all their hard work. And most of all, thanks to Vanessa for hanging out with us. So it's been an awesome night.
Awesome. Well, Nick, we will see you next week, and may the Force be with you.
Always.
Just one more round, friend, then homeward bound, friend. Don't forget me in your dreams. Just one more song, friend, and then so long, friend. The nights get shorter, it seems. Just one more rhyme, friend. Yes, it's a crime, friend. But you know time, friend. Time can fly. So it's good night, friend. Good night, but not goodbye.